strap yourself in for Keeping It Real with Jack and Roll.
Can't help myself, bad habits. I always fancy myself as a singer.
Are you going to start singing with that song?
Can't help myself, bad habits.
There's Billyfield. No listener, no one. I know there'll be some people who are as old as us that will remember that song.
What do you mean old as us?
Anyway, we are back for another episode of Keeping It Real with Jack and Row.
Welcome back, keepers.
Hope you've had a fabulous week, keepers. And this week we are talking about
Bad habits.
bad habits. Well, we're talking about habits because
Habits.
not all
Maybe not
habits
bad. No, there's
are
good
bad.
habits.
There is good habits.
Yeah, good
Tell us about habits.
Habits are really important, really, really important. If you want to change, grow, improve, you could stop some bad habits and you could start some good habits. How's that?
That's good. That's what we're going to talk about. Habits.
And I think what's really interesting from the research I've done on this and from the reading I've done on it and from being a coach that talks about change and development and progression is that time will magnify whatever you feed it. So if you make good habits your friend, then time will absolutely magnify good habits and you'll have
Time's your
a
friend
better time.
for good habits.
Absolutely.
I'm assuming time's your enemy for bad habits.
Correct.
I like that. So what was that?
magnify that.
Time will magnify whatever you feed it.
So if you continue doing bad habits or continue with good habits or starting good habits, they'll be magnified. And so you will have a better life. How's that?
Okay, that's good. That's good. I think, and I'll ask you, and we'll talk about this, that habits form over time, as I guess as they do, because they're a habit. If you just do it once, it's not a habit. Some of the stuff that I'm doing now, like every day, as part of my morning ritual, for example.
What is your morning ritual, for example?
Okay, so the first thing I do is I get up and have a drink of water. And I remember this came from, I don't know, a good 10 years ago when I was on a little bit of a health kick, and one of the things they said is you should start with drinking water, like, 1 or 2 glasses of water. So I did that as part of, whatever it was, a 4-week challenge, but I still do it.
Yeah.
So I've taken that little habit and I still do it. So I get up
Part
in
of
the
your
morning,
lifestyle.
I drink water. Then I, drink my little fibre and probiotics and whatever else I have in water. Mix
Then
it.
when do you have coffee?
I have coffee after that. If my perfect routine is doing all that, then doing a little 10, 15-minute stretch. Beautiful. Then I make my coffee and then I start writing on LinkedIn.
Beautiful.
That's I don't do that all the time, and I know when I do it I feel good. Sometimes I'm so excited that I've got an idea to write on LinkedIn, I miss my stretching and I don't do my stretching, so I go straight to my
I
coffee.
wouldn't beat yourself up over that. Can you tell me why drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning is a habit that you've created? What is the benefit of that?
There's a huge amount of benefits for drinking water. First of all, I mean, you probably haven't drunk or eaten anything for probably 12 hours, so it's hydrating your body, it's getting rid of the toxins. You probably don't want to be jumping up and the first thing you drink is coffee or a glass of wine.
I'm not drinking a glass of wine first thing, but the first thing I do is turn that coffee machine on. The hum of that machine.
Okay, so here you go.
But
There's nothing wrong with the first thing you do is turn on the coffee machine. Why don't you? And here's a little habit.
Here's a coaching session.
Yeah, I know. Why the coffee machine's warming up, have
a drink of water.
Have a glass of water.
And Melbourne water, sorry anyone, keepers who are not from Melbourne, is some of the best water in the world. Yeah. And I know that because I go to Perth regularly and Perth water sucks. But I love Perth.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so drink water.
Okay, tomorrow morning, I'm going to turn that coffee machine on, and while it's whirring into action and purring, while I look at it, salivating lovingly, I will have a glass of water. Yeah. That is an awesome thing to do.
What are you doing? What are you doing that you weren't doing even 5 years ago?
Running. Yeah,
running.
Okay, yeah. So, and that has become a habit.
Yeah.
Now, what I've got is an app that is helping me remain accountable, and it's also really engaged me, right? So that's an example of using, I guess, a tool to help keep that habit. But like we know, small, consistent changes compound over time, right? So even if I didn't have the app, I would keep running.
Yeah.
because I know how good I feel.
It's become a habit
It's
now.
become
so
a habit.
Maybe you needed something to help you become a
Start
habit.
the habit.
But now it's become
Become a habit. And I think it's 21 days to start a habit or to get a habit into your routine and for that to be easy and like something like, 5 days to break a habit.
Yeah,
so I could easily not run for 5 days and then and not pick it back up again and find excuses and not do it. Whereas if I keep doing it, it gets easier and easier and I keep wanting to do it. So that 1% compound over time.
When I said before my ideal day is to do stretching and I don't do it every day and you said don't beat yourself up. And I don't, but 10 years ago I never stretched.
No.
I was like terrible and, even though – they go, you should stretch before and after. I was like, yeah, whatever. And I never did it. But now, as we're getting wiser,
More mature.
I'm trying to stop saying older and
More
said
mature.
wiser. Stretching's important and I feel like I need to do it. So I don't, of course I don't do it every day, but I'm certainly doing it several times a week because it's something I started to do quite a few years ago.
I read some years ago, maybe it was around this time you started stretching, that the reason Elle MacPherson had such long limbs was because she did all these stretches. So I thought, right, easy. I too can look like Elle MacPherson. The fact that I'm 5'1" and 150 kilos
Don't be ridiculous.
means I'm never going to look like Elle MacPherson no matter how much stretching I do. But that was a habit I didn't stay with.
No.
Because I don't stretch either.
Well,
it's a good one.
we may, in all seriousness to that ridiculous story.
Sorry.
We'll come back to the goal wasn't achievable.
Clearly wasn't. Hang on a minute. Don't I look?
And
any
we're jumping ahead, but having the right reason to do the habit
that is true.
is really important.
That is true. So tell me about a habit that you might have changed over the years. So I've just told you I started running. Certainly wasn't something I did 5 years ago. It's a good habit. I love it. I'm staying with it. I don't know how long it'll last, but I'm going to try and hold on to it. What's a habit that you have started, stopped, or changed?
Well, stretching is definitely something I've started as, over the last few years. What I've started really recently, because I run and I like to run and I like to, work up a sweat and apparently more mature women should be doing more weights than cardio.
I thought you were going to say something to help us be less incontinent.
No, I don't know. Talk for yourself. I'm all good there. All good. Keelan is just going,
we're getting very, very open here, aren't we? Very vulnerable.
Please get me back to the producers of Men so I don't have to hear about bloody
he's
bladder
into
control.
comedy, so we're giving him that,
true.
surely.
That's true. But and I've always done weights as well, but just changing the ratio, I guess. So doing more weight work.
For strength, right?
For strength, cardio. One of the things, getting in a daily habit of writing. So knowing, and I've been doing that for quite a while now, but, actively. And that's part of my ritual before. Like I said, I make my coffee and I sit up and I write.
Can I ask you, has your writing become better or more successful or easier over time?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, he was here in Australia.
You went and saw him
late last year. I did. Thank you, Karen Beattie, the Growth Faculty. Awesome company who brings out awesome people. Holly Ransom was with us at that event. She was the MC for it and interviewed James. And we got to have lunch with him afterwards. And I love his book, Atomic Habits. It's awesome. Read it if you haven't. He says that we should focus on your current trajectory, not your current results. So where you want to go with your habit, focus on that. And just because you might not be getting the results immediately, don't let that stop you. Keep going. That 1% day in, day out, that compounding interest over time.
Yeah, and it is compounding interest. It's you just starting small. I even think of moisturising. Like what my daughter Alex moisturises her skin and always has since. She takes skin routine very seriously. And part of me is going, you're 16. What does it matter? But I can tell you when she's 60, she's probably going to look amazing.
She will.
Because she's been doing it every day.
And if it makes her feel good.
Yes. Yeah.
There's more to it than just the aesthetic
Yeah,
I'm sure it's a and what a positive thing to do.
Yeah.
She's not injecting heroin, so you wouldn't sort of growl at her too
No,
much about moisturising every day.
That's a big leap.
That's a
from
big
it's like, that's.
Sorry,
I
Alex.
did not see that coming.
Well, there you are. See, I like to
So-
keep you on your toes.
yeah, but and I'm sure for her it is part of her nightly routine of moisturising, and anyway, she takes it very seriously. But it is one of those things. Like, if you don't moisturise one day, you wouldn't notice it. If you moisturise just one day, you wouldn't notice it. But you
over time.
well, that's our hope. I do moisturise now.
I wasn't even going to ask. I wasn't even going to go there. James Clear says setting the goal is the easy part to start a habit. It's the systems or behaviours that is where you'll actually get the outcome.
Yeah.
Interesting, eh? So the system might be a daily collection of habits that you follow so that you'll actually get the results. And, of course, as we know, hope is not a strategy. Luck and randomness are not under your control, but your habits are.
Yeah. I reckon that's why most New Year's Eve resolutions fail, because setting the goal is the easy bit.
That's exactly
like,
right.
I want to run a marathon. I want to lose weight.
Join the gym.
I'm, whatever. I'm going to learn guitar. That's the easy bit.
Just imagining you learning guitar. Okay, so systems are good for people, right? Because
So how do you get system? How do you?
how do you
what
create
do?
a system?
Yes, tell
Okay,
me.
well,
Teach me.
I will teach you how to create a system. So what you need to do is first of all be very clear on what your goal might be. So your goal for drinking water every morning was what?
It was health. It was overall health.
Overall health.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to improve my health.
Yep.
And one of the things I'm going to do as part of the system is drink, or a new habit is actually drink a glass of water in the morning.
Yeah,
Before I
yeah.
have a coffee.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to follow that with
Some stretching.
some stretching.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be better for me and
Yep.
less injury. Mm-hmm. And then I know that I've set myself up really well to actually do some writing. And so you've then habit stacked. So that's part of a system.
Yes.
You understand habit stacking?
Yeah, yeah.
It's a very cool thing to do.
One, I don't know if this is habit stacking or it's just a way to put a new habit in. Like I said to you, while you're waiting for your coffee machine to heat up, drink water. The whole time the coffee machine's doing. I don't know how. My new coffee machine only takes 3 seconds to heat up. So
My machine is instant. However,
it's the
I
same.
will
You
allow
just
it.
got to, just think. Before I have
I like it.
before I have a coffee, I'm
going to have a glass
going
of
to
water.
have a glass of water.
I like it.
So
A glass of water now.
this may surprise you,
Nothing would surprise me.
but I'm extremely impatient. I know. Shock, horror. One of the things I find a complete waste of time and really boring is filling up my car with petrol. I hate it.
Is that right? So you avoid doing it?
I
Or
avoid doing
for
it,
Steve,
and luckily
always-
I don't drive it a lot, so I probably only have to do it about once a month.
Wow, that's good.
And
Try living in the country.
So Steve has said, because he goes, well, if you hate it so much, I'm happy to do it, and he
bless
does.
him.
Sometimes I know the car's low, but I know he's using it that night, so I
You'll know it'll be filled.
Just let it
so
go.
what is it about filling the car with petrol that
I
you
just think
hate?
it's a complete waste of time. I know.
Were-
I know it only takes
Were
a
you
minute.
around, because I know how young you are, when people used to come and fill up your car for you at a garage?
Oh yeah, I was.
I reckon
was
they should
around
bring
that.
that back.
Anyway, so you know what? I've decided to make this complete waste of time.
Buy an electric car.
No, do car phrases.
Do what?
I do car phrases. So when I fill up my car with petrol, I'm standing there with the hose because you're not allowed to look at your phone. Stupid thing. I do car phrases.
So give me an example of a car
I'm not
phrase.
going to do. When you stand up on your toes and you
Calf raises.
Yeah, calf raises.
I thought you meant car phrases. So you're making phrases up about cars. Sorry, Nana here's going a bit
my
deaf.
God, that is calf phrases.
Which also probably help with your incontinence.
Oh, so I do calf raises to help with my, because I'm just trying to think of a muscle I can work that I don't look like a complete idiot. I'm not going to do push-ups or star jumps.
You probably would.
Anyway, it's probably not really helping considering I only fill up my car once a month.
But your point is that you're actually helping replace something you don't like doing with something that's good for you.
Yes.
So it becomes easier to go and fill up the car,
Well, sort of. It's not as boring.
just using time efficiently.
And another thing, I don't know if this is habit stacking. So if it's not, just tell me to shut up and we'll move on.
Tell me.
But I do try
Shut up,
to
move on. Keep going.
I do try to drink a lot of water. So so every time I go to the toilet, do a wee,
Yeah,
I drink some water.
very good. To replace what you've just weed.
Yeah, and so it's like as soon as something happens, that like you do something else straight away.
Like it. That is an awesome.
So if you are trying to do something like drink more water, have a trigger that will help you do that.
Tell me about a habit you've stopped. Tell me something you haven't done. Were you a smoker in the day, or you and your
My mum listens to this episode. No,
course you would.
I was one of those people that when you'd have
Social.
when you'd be out drinking and all your friends are.
So it wasn't
smoking.
hard to stop smoking as you became smarter.
No.
Okay. Well, what is a habit that you no longer do? What do you consciously avoid doing, or
So, some of the things, and we're talking a lot about health stuff, but it's with work things as well. And maybe this is linking to the conversation we had, the last episode we had around labels. It's being very conscious of the labels we give ourselves, and when you're doing it, like saying, "Oh, I'm just lucky."
yeah.
Really, was it luck or stuff like that? So there's a little bit of that I go on. Be mindful of what I'm saying and what I'm doing. What I have been conscious of, and I know I'm not very successful at this, and I know you've been having a joke at my active listening or lack thereof, but I know I interrupt people a lot. And I'm just saying because I'm action orientated.
And you and I are so similar, right?
But I'm consciously trying to do that. And I know with
Try and stop that.
Like with Steve will be telling me something and I'll go, and he goes, "Stop interrupting me." I'm, "Oh my God, you're taking so
what
long
I'm
to
saying.
tell me."
Yes, yeah, but that's a husband thing. So I shared a house with an awesome woman years and years and years and years ago in Canberra, who was she could have smoked for Australia. She was a great smoker. The last thing she'd do would be have a
If
cigarette.
smoking was an Olympic
First
sport.
thing she'd do in the morning was have a cigarette. And she said to me, "I've got to stop smoking." I said, "Yes, I do." And she was in her young, early 30s, maybe late 20s. And I said to her, "Do you notice every time the phone rings or you ring someone," because she loved to chat, she was a great woman, "you light up a cigarette?" She said, "I wasn't even aware I did that." I said, "You're associating a conversation with a cigarette. It's a social thing, right?"
Yeah.
If we can change that, that might help. And they say if you want to break a habit, there's actually 4 things you need to do. Make it invisible, make it unattractive, make it difficult, make it unsatisfying.
Right. Okay. Let's spend a bit of time on that.
So going back to my friend who I
Yeah.
shared the house with, she decided she couldn't control when someone would call her, but what she could control was when she called somebody and where her cigarettes were.
Yeah.
So at the time, she always had a pack of cigarettes near the phone. And this is the days before mobile phones, right? So the phone was in the kitchen. So she purposely removed the cigarettes from the kitchen. And she was never allowed to have a cigarette or a cigarette box in the kitchen, which meant she had to smoke outside.
Yeah. So
I don't
making
know
it
whether you've been in a Canberra winter,
No, I have not been in
but
a
it's
Canberra
highly
winter.
unlikely
Oh, she was in
you would
Canberra.
go outside. We were sharing a house in Canberra.
Right, sorry, I missed that link.
Active listening. It was
She did not say Canberra. I'm going to go back on the tape.
so I shared a house with an awesome woman years and years and years and years ago in Canberra. In Canberra.
Oh, she did. Bugger it.
This is why we have Keelan here. But the point was, if you want to break a habit, make it invisible. So she removed the cigarettes. Make it unattractive. Too cold in winter to go outside to have a cigarette.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have the cigarettes nearby while she's trying to have a call. Make it difficult. Tick. Make it unsatisfying. There was a cost/consequence. So again, it came back to weather or whatever. So it was a slow sort of stop to smoking, but it had to start with recognising where she did it most regularly, how it was not even part of her psyche. She didn't even think about it.
yeah.
So that's how to break a habit.
It's one of the when people like whenever you want to lose weight and stuff, and it's like they go like I eat chips. It was like don't buy them.
Yes.
Like don't
have them in the house.
Don't have them in the house.
Yeah.
So at least if you're going to eat them, you've got to make an effort
Yep.
to go out and do it. So that's making it invisible. So what was the second
Make
one?
it unattractive.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't make it appealing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it difficult and make it unsatisfying.
Yeah.
So the flip side to all of that for creating a habit, how do you make it obvious? How do you put it in front of you? So assigning a little ritual, such as when you turn the coffee machine on, have your glass of water. How do you make it attractive?
You could even put a label on
could.
it saying drink water.
I
with a
could.
little picture of me.
I won't want to get out of bed. I'll move the coffee machine. How can I make it easy and how can I make it satisfying? So all the opposite to stopping them.
Yeah.
So how do you make it obvious? How do you make it attractive? How do you make it easy? How do you make it satisfying?
So I was actively listening to you then and I wanted to add something to it because it went back to stretching.
Yeah.
When we moved into this new house we're in, I've got a beautiful office and it overlooks a park. And so part of I made it when I come in here, I'm really going to get into stretching. So trying to stretch every morning is probably only about a year old. And I brought this rug, but the rug was really thin.
Yeah.
And I'd go down and stretch and it would bloody hurt my knees. And it was like, and then I'd have to pull out my yoga mat and then I'd have to put the yoga mat away and it was just hard. Yeah. So I bought a new rug. I bought a new rug, which actually looks better, but it's really thick.
Lovely.
And so I don't need my yoga mat. So it just makes it easier. To do.
So
now
you are
I
going
might,
to want to
go
into
and you
your
know what?
stretches on
I
the mat.
sometimes might do, and I might just do like a few minutes. But I know unwrapping the yoga mat isn't hard, but it's sometimes with those habits, it's just that tiny little
one
that makes it difficult. Just makes it too hard.
Makes it too hard. So one of the good habits that I encourage people I'm coaching is to reflect more because we're all so busy. Yeah, head down, bum up, meeting back to backs. This is day in day out. Actually, set aside some time after a one-on-one discussion or a meeting or a presentation to reflect. What is one thing you did really well, one thing that you'd like to improve on? How do you do that? Because it's easy to say, yeah, I'll reflect. But, of course, you come out of the meeting and you go bowling into the next meeting or you come out of the meeting and somebody grabs you. So what's a good, I guess, system to put in place so that you actually reflect after that particular meeting?
Yeah.
So making sure you're not doing back-to-backs, finishing meetings earlier, making an excuse as to why you can't go and chat to somebody directly after that, unless it's something super important and you might have to reprioritise. But the idea is to build in this habit of being reflective. That's one example of something you could
but
do.
I think it's a
for
good
work.
example, and I think it's being creative. So, just I mean, I don't have a job where I'm in back-to-back meetings, but
me neither.
Here's a thought. I just thought of this. If you wanted to combine all of this, like to reflect, because I think it's a really good idea, and I talk about this around public speaking and presentations. Get into the habit after every single presentation, saying what worked, what would I do again, what would I change, what I'd do differently. Here's a thought. Here's an idea. Before every meeting, have a drink of water.
Just before every meeting, have
a drink of water.
Get you through.
Have your meeting. By the end of the meeting, you're going to need to go to the toilet. And sitting on the toilet could be your way of going reflection.
I like that. So you're now combining two good habits.
But
being
if
more hydrated,
and
being able to find capacity and a space to reflect.
Yeah.
People aren't going to interrupt you
I
in the
mean,
toilet.
because seriously, the only time you can have time by yourself these days,
often
I'd
in the
imagine in
toilet.
office is in the toilet. Or go for a little walk around the block if that's
that
but
could
that
help.
might get harder because the moment it's cold or it's raining,
right.
you're not
You've
going
got to
do
make it attractive. You've got to make it appealing. You've got to make it easy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So anyway, so I think that's so if we get
that is a good idea.
Yeah. So if we get into the like tips and techniques around this, it's having the goal.
Yeah.
The overall goal. And the goal to me isn't I want to drink more water. The goal is I want to be healthy. I want to manage my energy.
Yeah.
I want to be a more reflective leader or whatever. So make your goal real for you and achievable. Hence why I laughed at your Elle MacPherson because it was unattainable.
rude.
Right? So that's the first thing. What's the second thing once you've got your goal?
Once you've got your goal, you actually need to identify what habits you are either going to start, stop, or change in order to achieve the goal.
Yep.
So an example would be, and I think what you just said was a great example. It's a great idea. I want to actually become healthier by drinking more water, but actually what I really want to do is reflect more about how I presented or how I went in that meeting. The only way I'm going to get the opportunity to do that is if I go and sit by myself somewhere. A loo is a great place to do that. I'll need to go to the loo if I drink some water. So combining two good habits.
Yeah.
So that's habit stacking, but that's a great thing to do. The other thing James Clear talks about is make your habit no longer than 2 minutes.
Right.
Now,
Okay. So is that part of the attractive?
It is part of make it easy. Make it easy, because if it's going to take you 4 hours, chances are you're not going to do it. I remember when I was doing the running, I was worried sick about the program I was going to be on because I didn't want to run every day. I knew I would hate it. So the great thing is that you only run like 3 times in the week. So there's all these rest days. So by the time you come off rest day, you're dying to run again. So again, making it actually easy, making it attractive, making it engaging and compelling. But the 2-minute rule is think of a habit that you can create that will not take you longer than 2 minutes where possible.
Yeah.
So that's quite a good one.
Yeah,
And 2
that
minutes
is a
is
good
quite
one.
a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
How long would it take me to drink a glass of water?
30 seconds.
How long would it take me to drink a glass of wine? 3 seconds.
3 seconds. Tracking habits is people.
Good one.
Yeah, I often, whenever I do a health challenge for myself, I actually I make myself these little Excel spreadsheets because I do love Excel. And it will be things like, did I have 2 litres of water today? Did I not have no more than 2 cups of coffee a day? So whatever it is, did I stretch? Did I exercise for at least 30 minutes? Whatever it is you want to be. And there's just all these little squares, and it's visible. Like I print it out, and either it's on my fridge or it's in the office, and I cross it out.
I like it.
And visually seen it, and when you've missed like 2 days, you go, oh my God. And I think it might be James Clear that talks about, or maybe it's just someone saying, if you're tracking your habits like every day, you don't want to have more than 2 days where you don't do it.
No.
So you might skip a day. That's
okay.
fine, but you cannot skip 2.
2 days, yeah. Do you reward yourself if you get do you say, okay, if I've done this habit for 30 days because I've passed the 21-day mark, I'm going to give myself a treat?
Yeah. So especially when I'm doing a health, energy stuff, like it might be if, I've hit my goals for the week. It's like, Fridays,
Eat a block of chocolate.
Well, no, I'm a big it might be have a pizza or something. Or you've got something up and you go, that's going to be my reward meal or whatever.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so creating habits, there's the whole compounding. James Clear, I love it. He says, aim for 1% better every day. By the end of the year, you'll be 37 times better. How good's that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's true, isn't it? It really is.
I don't even know how that maths works, but I'm not going to challenge
No.
it this late in the podcast.
No, me neither.
1%.
If James Clear
1%
said every day,
1% every day.
365 days in a year, wouldn't you be?
Oh, maybe that's 37.
percent.
I don't know. Anyway, someone worked that out.
Anyway, just go
one
for
of our
1% every
keepers.
day.
One of our keepers will know
Of course they will.
the answer
Hey,
to that.
you write on LinkedIn very consistently and regularly. I write on LinkedIn very consistently and regularly. That is a habit we have both formed.
Absolutely.
Why is it important to write on LinkedIn for you?
Well, I mean, doing
Why do you
what
do
I
that?
do, we want to share our knowledge. We want, we want to get clients. This is our profession. So, people need to know about what you do. People need to know about what you're an expert in. People need to know what you're passionate about. So part of doing that is writing about it and writing from a place of giving value.
Agree.
Part of me actually, how it becomes an easier habit is I just go, I think so. I think people will find this of value.
Yeah.
And I've got my funny little stories and I write about them. But, I coach people that, go, I want to be known as an expert like you. I want to be known as this, as a thought leader. And I look at their LinkedIn and they've been doing it for a while.
Yeah,
and I go,
it's
do you
fascinating.
write on LinkedIn? They go, yeah, I do write. I haven't been doing it. I've been a bit busy the last few weeks. It was like convenient story you're telling yourself.
I can always tell when somebody wants a new job because all of a
they're
sudden
very
they
active on LinkedIn. They're very, very active
But
on
the
LinkedIn.
reason I asked you about LinkedIn is because what's really interesting, I enjoy writing for LinkedIn and have lots of content to share, and I think of little things all the time. It's often very intuitive. It's not often very planned. But there is the opportunity to actually schedule a post, which is helpful as well. But what you do when you write regularly on LinkedIn as a habit that we have formed, as a good habit, is we stay on people's radars. What we also do is give search engines more content to index and rank, which is the technical side of it and the algorithm, which actually helps keep your audience engaged, which helps make you more familiar. And have a guess what happens when you are more familiar to people? You are more trustworthy.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
So hopefully our keepers who find us familiar through the podcast, Keeping It Real with Jack and Rael, who are listening to us regularly, find us trustworthy. So that's a good habit to keep going, being consistent.
Yeah. And we enjoy it, clearly.
Oh, love it. Absolutely love it.
Can I ask the keepers something? It seems now we're talking about
course you
LinkedIn.
can ask
Because
the keepers
we do share these posts on LinkedIn.
We do.
If every one of you keepers could share it with your network, imagine the reach we would get then.
Imagine the compound
So if you're not connected with us on LinkedIn, then please do so and look out for our post and share it away.
That's a great
Yep.
ask of our keepers. Thank
So
you.
habits, they're good, they're bad. We need to be aware of them. We can change them. We can evolve them. Very, very much linked to our episode last week about what got you here won't get you there.
Correct.
And habits form a big part of that. So hopefully you have found this of value, keepers. I'm sure listening to this podcast has become part of your habit.
It's a good habit, by
It's
the
a
way.
good habit. Until we speak to you next week, I was going to say don't remember, but don't forget to keep it real. Keep it real.
Please remember to keep it real with Jack and Rael. Bye.
You've been listening to another episode of Keeping It Real with Jack and Rael. If you like what you've heard, don't forget to tell others about it and give a 5-star review. They may seem confident, but they really are sensitive 5-star needy souls. Yeah, right. Keeping It Real, created by Jack Phillips and Gabriel Dolan. Produced by Keelan Ferrari Brown. And this really real voiceover, spoken by Richard Phillips.